I will cancel it.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to have you. We're going to admit some more people, and then we're going to get started with our jump start to the new year Financial Wellness No Judgment Zone webinar.
Love it.
How's
I
that?
can't believe we're talking about New Year.
I know.
Is that right? I mean, although it is dark and it's 5 o'clock, so I guess that does make sense. But it's also 60 degrees outside and just doesn't feel like we're here, but we're here.
We're here.
It's a funny juxtaposition because people are putting their Christmas lights up. It's gonna be
Right.
60 degrees.
That's
Right. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Well, it was Halloween and I saw Christmas trees. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Oh, mine went up the next day. So
I understand. No judgment on that.
Exactly, no judgment. My husband, he's a stickler. He says no, Christmas decorations till around Thanksgiving
Until
or
Thanksgiving.
after. Yeah.
You know, I actually kind of subscribe to that depending if I'm hosting Thanksgiving, which I am.
yeah.
And then I want to put it up, but I'm actually thinking, I'm like, but I have the time before Thanksgiving, so I might have this weird merge
Yeah.
of orange and red and fall.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little like all the holidays.
Yeah.
We were talking today about how in Canada, the New Year or Thanksgiving is the week after Halloween. And then they get all that time for Christmas. And I'm like, well, why don't we participate?
I like that,
Yeah.
because then you have fall, and then November and December is all about Christmas. But I don't know about you guys, I like to keep my tree up through the end of January, because I like
Oh,
the
yeah.
light. Okay, so we're aligned on this?
It's something pretty.
I could have my Christmas tree up for a year
Yeah.
if my family would
I
allow it.
agree. Just the light is so pretty.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. We do have James running our chat. So if you have questions throughout the webinar, please throw them in the chat. Or if you would like, you can unmute your mic and pop on. We'd love to hear from you.
Love that.
All right, jumping into the new year. So many things are coming up that you have to kind of prepare for. You have taxes right there that first quarter, but then you got to start thinking about your budgets and your different things you're going to pay for. We have kids going back to school. We have holidays that we need to plan for next
Correct.
year, even though we're just finishing them. And how, looking at different insurance options. And,
Well, and you're planning for 2026 and you're trying not to bloat in 2025.
yeah.
Because we know we've all done a nice job budgeting for this holiday season, right?
Yeah.
But the trick is trying to stay within that budget as well. So you're kind of bridging both worlds at this point.
Jade, often you talk about the holiday hangover. And so that really goes into 2026 where you're like, I just bled money for so long.
Yes.
And now we're trying to save it.
Yeah. It's a bad feeling to, have things carrying over and you're trying to have a fresh start.
Yes.
So we want to avoid that if we can.
So if we
Yeah,
can
I
get
agree with
that
that.
fresh start before these holidays come in and figure out how we want to prepare.
I think it'll make the holiday season
Little
even less
fun.
stressful. Yeah.
Did you guys know that only 54% of consumers in the United States plan to have a New Year's resolution for their finances?
I actually love that. And I thought it would be a little higher. It feels like most of us, we equate the first of the year as the start of a new year.
Mhm.
And we want to make those good resolutions. So I actually thought that number was going to be a little higher.
Yeah, I did too.
I kind of have mixed feelings on it because I think, for me personally, I like to not make resolutions all the time because I want it to be more of a habit. I think it's easy to
Yeah.
have a resolution, fall off of it, and then get mad at yourself.
You know what I love is Liz has got some tips to make a resolution stick as a habit. So
Okay, I
there
love
it
that.
is.
But as we talk about those resolutions, so saving more money is obviously the top
Top one.
one, right? We're going to talk here soon about how saving more money is just really not a financial goal, right? Because there's no end, there's no specifics to it. So you're just saving money for what?
It's so squishy.
And it's so easy to just be like, I'm done. I have nothing that I'm working towards. I'm gonna be done with saving my money. But that is a top goal. And we're gonna talk about some SMART goals and how those can help make your saving more money, a little bit better.
I like that.
And we have reducing and paying off debt. We've got another great tip for that. But really what I like the most is that the younger generations, the millennials and the Gen Zs, that they have this higher percentage of making their finances their resolution.
Well, I think as a Gen Xer, all right, so I can't speak to y'all, but I'm your big sister over here. The whole thing about finances and money and personal finances and empowerment is a relatively new topic. Yeah, I think 2020 and beyond, you see more socialization about that. You see more on Instagram, you see more on TikTok. There's more mainstream. So although y'all didn't get the information in school, which I think that's really lacking,
No.
there's definitely, it's not a stigma to talk about money, to talk about your finances. And I love that because I think if you can have the conversation, that helps reduce the stress
Agreed.
and the judgment.
I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, what are your resolutions? Throw them in the chat, open up your mics. Do you have a financial resolution that you are looking to reach in 2026? Let us know.
I'd love to hear it.
As we talk about those top three, the saving money, the lowering your debt, or just spending less in general. With saving money, I really like to think about automating your payments to yourself, paying yourself first. We talk about paying yourself first all the time.
That's the number one tip for me, pay yourself first, because if you pay yourself first, you set aside whatever amount you know you want to do, you won't have to see what's left over at the end. You've
Right.
already taken care of that.
And you know what, Jade, I think sometimes we have unrealistic expectations and feel like, oh, I can only pay myself first $20 or $5. And I think it's the consistency in the habit, because whatever that dollar amount is,
Mhm.
it's the consistency of making it a habit so that you will over time continue to grow your paying yourself first. So you're
Yes.
building that muscle of getting into the habit. So
Absolutely.
I love that.
That's a massive key. Yes, absolutely. Just
And I-
have it.
I love when you talk about starting with like a small amount. If it's
Yeah.
$5, it's $5.
That's beautiful.
But that's gonna grow and
That's
you
right.
are learning that habit.
That's exactly right. And the habit and the consistency is everything.
Yes.
Yes.
100%. And when we're talking about lowering our debt, the debt snowball, which I'm very excited for, we're gonna talk about here in a
Yay.
little bit, but that is a great tip. Stay tuned. We're gonna give you more there. But when we talk about spending less, someone in this group really enjoys a spending freeze.
I do until I don't. So I do like a spending freeze. It's kind of like what Jade said. I do plan and budget for the holidays. I have been known to sometimes go a little beyond the budget. So then I'm backpedaling a little bit in January. So then I get into February and I'm like, you know what? February is my freeze. And I really love the discipline of just some people do no alcohol January. Love that. I like to do February, no frivolous spending at all, like even my wants. And I really kind of focus on my needs and my savings and rebuild that muscle of being a little more sustainable. Because I don't know about y'all, like I just, you're in the like building a muscle.
Yeah.
If I'm building the muscle of shopping,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep that
You're gonna
muscle
keep that
going.
going,
And
yes.
I was like, whoa, we gotta stop that.
And that shopping can be that big dopamine hit, right? Like
Right, it
Or
is.
treat yourself, or if I had a bad day.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
retail
Color,
therapy.
like all the things. It's the dopamine.
it's the
Yeah.
dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And we get that with our Amazon, or we get that with, I'm a Sheenaholic. I
Sheen.
do love me some Sheen, and I
It
don't
feels
know
like it's so
why.
innocent, but then
Right?
before you know it, you spent like $150.
Yes, and then half your order, you're like, what is this? Why did I get
What did I
this?
buy? What did I
But
buy?
the return process is harder than the purchasing process, so we just keep it.
Well, the interesting
Yeah.
thing about a February freeze is that you replace the dopamine hit with shopping,
Yeah.
with seeing your money grow.
Yes.
And that actually.
It's an amazing feeling.
It is an amazing
Yes.
feeling. I love that, my financial planner, that you, that's where your dopamine goes.
All right, so we talked about a lot of those resolutions, but tonight we're really going to focus on your financial goals and your spending plans, not a budget. Those are not flexible. Budget or spending plans are what we like. Different savings accounts and how we can build and start them. And we're going to talk a little bit about preparing for tax season, because that's a big That's a
deal.
big one. And a lot of people struggle at the end of the year with how they can be ready for the tax
You
season.
got some nice tips in there.
Okay, SMART goals. These are my absolute
This is you,
favorite.
girl. This is
I
all
love a
you.
SMART goal. Okay, so they are specific, they're measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So specific, we are not just going to save more money.
No.
There's got to be something that we are saving more money for.
So like what?
Let's say I like to use down payment for a house. This is currently my SMART goal, okay? I need a new home. We have a very tiny home and a lot of people and a big dog. We're outgrowing, we're bursting at the seams, right? But I gotta save for that down payment, the closing costs, all the things. And so I have to say my specific goal is that I am saving money for a down payment for a new home.
Okay. I love
Okay.
that.
But now it has to be measurable. So it can't just be, I'm saving money, right? So I have to have that amount. So it's how much do I need to save? And so you need to make sure you are doing your research, figuring out how much do you need to get that goal. So if I'm gonna say that I need $2,500 for my down payment, right? So now my goal is I am saving money for a down payment for my home
Yes.
of $2,500.
There it is.
Okay, but it has to be realistic and something that you can actually
Yeah,
obtain.
yeah.
If I am putting into my goal that I'm gonna save $500 every paycheck to go towards this, that's not something I can
Right.
realistically do.
That's
So
right.
it's making sure you're figuring out for your timeline, how long do I realistically need to reach that goal?
That's fair.
That $2,500, if $5 a paycheck is what I can do, okay, then you gotta make sure that that is what your realistic goal hits. Because the last thing you wanna do is set up these awesome financial goals for yourself just to then, relapse and go back and take money out of that so that you can pay for your water bill or your heater goes out or whatever the case might be. And now you're like, I just had all that money and now I don't have it anymore. So it really is what is attainable, what is realistic, what can you put away and not touch?
And I love that because the realism doesn't have to be an ill-conceived timeline. Give yourself a year and then add another 6 months.
Yes.
I mean, I think that what we all as humans is we start strong
Mm-hmm.
and we have these great goals.
Yep.
And then day 3 comes along or 3 months comes along and you get really frustrated because they become unattainable. And then that becomes discouraging and demotivating. And what we're trying to do is tiny victories
Right.
so that it stays you engaged.
Yes.
So I love what you just said. The realism, I think, is really everything.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I'm not always realistic with my
Right.
goals. So that's where if you have a partner or friends, just saying, girl, I don't think.
I don't think
really-
you can
Yeah.
realistically get there with what you've got going
It's
on.
helpful to have like people in your financial brain trust.
Yes.
Mhm.
The next part is your relevancy. So when you're making these goals, like, is this relevant to you and like your values and your needs? And can you see this goal really helping you in your life? A lot of times we see a shiny object and you're like, I'm going to save some money so I can go get that Tesla truck or whatever it is that you want to get. Is that what it is? A Tesla truck?
It is.
Is it cyborg or something?
Whatever it's
Called
called.
Cybertruck.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it is.
Cybertruck.
Yeah.
You know, but is that something that you truly need? But like for me, it is relevant, bursting at the seams.
Yeah,
Like,
but not the truck.
not the truck.
house.
Okay.
Wait a minute, now you want a truck?
No.
You're gonna live in the truck.
So it's making sure that it's actually something that fits your values, your needs, all of that.
Yeah.
But the last, and this is honestly to me, the most important is your time bound. So there has to be a time frame that you're trying to hit this because otherwise it's just a wish.
Right.
If we don't have I need to save this down payment for my house in 2 years. I now have a time to hit that. And while you're doing that, that's when you can figure out, is it realistic?
Right.
Because now you say, if I have those 2 years, how much do I have to realistically save each month to hit my 2-year goal?
And what you just talked about is true empowerment versus wishing for something or hoping for something,
Correct.
which is never a strategy.
Correct.
So that's just a really beautiful way that you say that if you're specific and follow this smart path, like philosophy,
Uh-huh.
that you really have something that becomes attainable.
And that's
Yes.
also why we need a spending plan to help us understand what
There
is
it is.
realistic and attainable.
Mhm.
Yes.
We talked earlier too about goals. You had some really good statistics.
Yes, so I've come across these, I think they're fairly accurate, but I have read that when you write a goal down, just simply writing it down, not even sharing it with anyone else, you just put it down somewhere, that increases your chances of achieving it by about 42%, somewhere in that
Wow.
range. And then finding an accountability buddy or accountability partner, whether that's a parent or a spouse, just someone who trusts you or you trust, who's in your corner that wants to see you succeed and do well. By sharing those goals with that accountability partner or buddy and checking in with them periodically.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple times a year. That's like a 95% increase in the odds of attaining it.
That's incredible.
So write it down and have a buddy and share it and it's a
You're
lot
halfway
more
there.
likely.
More
Yeah.
than halfway there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot of times if I tell somebody my goal, now I'm like admitting, right?
Yeah.
That I want to do this. And so now you're like, oh, they're going to look
Yeah,
at me
you,
like,
you put it out there. in the
yeah,
world.
I put it
Yeah.
out there. So now I really got to achieve it. So these people don't think I'm lying to myself, right?
I
Yeah.
also believe that you ask for what you want, you claim it,
Mhm.
and opportunities will present to help
Mhm.
you put it forth as well.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of wisdom about owning your goal, writing it down. That just connects all the things to make it really serious. And by having somebody's accountability, and before you know it, you're gonna get that goal. I'm excited about you and your house.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you are too.
I'm very excited. And now we're gonna talk about some spending plans, and looking at your past spending is, we talked about this earlier, it's a lot easier nowadays, right? Because
Sure
we
is.
have our banking, we do it all on the plastic cards. We all have a banking app that we can go to and we can see where we're spending our money. I really think this is a smart way to start building that spending
agree.
plan.
I agree.
Print out 3 months and go through it. Where are you really spending your money? You're gonna find that you spend your money in places that you didn't realize you were spending your money.
That's exactly right. And that awareness alone is a big deal.
Mhm.
Back in the day, the goal was to track all your spending in a notebook
Mhm.
or try to document everything moving forward. But by moving in the past, I think Liz just hit the nail on the head. You can very quickly see some of the areas of opportunity that where you can save some
Yeah.
as well.
I always like to talk about, my husband is the epitome of a gas station junkie. Every
What
time
does that look like?
a lot of money spent at a gas station.
Hey, who would read that was a thing?
We go,
Justin.
yeah, leaving home, we are stopping at a gas station, he's getting himself a Polar Pop and a bag of chips. I will look at that account so many times throughout the day and I'm like, why were
Why
you
is
at
this-
Casey's 4 times today?
Interesting.
And he's just, and my daughter is the same way. We go somewhere, can we stop at the gas station? Why? We don't need it. And they're thinking $2-3 each time. Okay, well, that $2-3
Bingo.
adds up. And so if you
Bingo.
print off your statements and you just highlight those silly little expenses, you can say in 1 month you spent $400
Whoa, that's
at a gas
significant.
station. And that's
Yeah.
not,
And that's not even Buc-ee's.
that's not even getting right.
Buc-ee's is a whole other.
We don't even
category.
talk about that.
Yeah.
Thank God we gotta have the Buc-ee's.
Right?
We're close, yeah.
So it's, looking at your past spending, you really can find out where it's going. Do you have subscriptions out there that you are like,
Oh
oh, I
my
didn't even
God.
realize I was still paying
Those
for that?
TV apps are the
Yes.
worst, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Again, I'm gonna pick on my husband. I pick on him a lot. But he is the worst at doing the free 30 days because he wants to watch a show.
And you
Yes.
forget to cancel.
But then we
it.
break to cancel it.
Always.
I'll
And so
never
now
remember.
we have
Yeah.
all of these $4.99, $5.99, and I'm like, I don't even know what they go to because they all come out of Apple. And so
Yeah.
it really truly is. If you're not paying attention to your spending, you just don't know what you don't know.
That's right. And if you don't pay attention, it makes it easier to have denial.
Yeah.
And then you want to put your head in the sand, and then all you're doing is having anxiety about it.
Yeah.
And this is just confronting it, no judgment.
Face it
taking
head
the
on.
last-
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not trying to reinvent everything, but just look at subtle little things that you
Yeah.
can tweak moving forward. Yeah, that's good.
Setting those financial priorities is another great one. So when you're talking about your goals, you do your goals first. And now it's like, where are my priorities? What do I prioritize over other things? If I had to make a list of all my spending, are you going to prioritize your entertainment over, I don't know, eating out more or, whatever the case may be, but it's really, where does your priorities lie?
Mhm.
And knowing that before you even start this journey of creating a spending plan. Because once you know all of your values and your wants and your needs, that's how you can get that started.
Mhm.
And then you can go into categories. We were talking earlier about a great category is your car. This is not just your car payment.
No.
This is the gas you're putting in there. This is windshield wipers. This is car
Tires.
insurance, tires,
Changes,
oil
yeah.
changes.
So can I tell you anything about new cars now? They are not made with tires that last the
Very long.
traditional amount. They
No.
only last about 30,000 miles.
Oh my goodness.
And actually, mine only lasted 20,000 miles.
no.
And that is not even having a car for a full year. And I didn't even think to budget new tires.
Yep.
And I needed new tires, and I thought it was like a scam, but evidently it's a thing.
Yeah.
So there it is. So you knew about that. So
Yeah.
FYI about new cars now, guys. Budget for them tires because you're gonna need
You're
them
gonna need
before
it
you know
before that first year.
Preach.
Setting a date with your money is another great way to get started before you create your spending plan, or even just as you have a spending plan. Whether that is once a month, once a quarter, whatever the case may be, maybe it's a once a week for you as you're getting things started, but really to sit down and go through, where are you at on your goals? Where are you at staying on track with all of your different categories? Are you putting money into your savings like you should be? Are you paying yourself first? It's making that date with your money on a regular basis.
And if it's hard for us to confront, I think it becomes easier every time we sit down and make
Oh,
that
that's
date.
good,
It's
yeah.
becoming easier. You're
And
building that
habit,
momentum.
yes.
You really know what's going on, as opposed to when you start, you're like, I don't really know what's going on with my money.
That's right.
Right, and you know, it's true, because
Mhm.
if you are not going there, then you're envisioning some big scary
Yeah.
thing in there, and then it makes it harder to confront.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that,
And just don't forget to make adjustments along the way, because what we know is that life happens.
absolutely.
Yes.
And
And be kind to
Be
yourself.
kind to yourself. You're gonna fall off, all right? There's gonna be times that, like earlier, I talked about your water heater breaking, and maybe you didn't have that in the budget. You don't have your spending, your savings account, fully up to date. Things are gonna happen.
That's right.
And you're gonna fall off track, and that is okay. Make adjustments.
And
Maybe,
I'm sorry.
no, you go.
No, because what you're saying
Yeah.
is so relevant, and we're gonna talk about options that when you fall off the wagon, what are some resources you can tap into?
Okay, so we talk about the, yes, what
Okay.
question do we have, Kelly?
I just wanted to say I love that tip on making a date with our money. And it's very similar to a date in the natural where we establish a relationship with our money and then we build from that. So I love that tip on making a date with our money.
That's good.
That's a great way
Great
to
to
put
look at
it.
it.
Yeah,
It is.
it is. It's a
Thank you.
relationship.
It is a relationship. That's really good.
Talking about the flexibility, this 50-30-20 plan is just such a good way to really create your spending plan. And so when we talk about the 50-30-20, we talk about 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% for your savings and your like high interest debt if you're paying some of that off. Now, a lot of times people will ask, well, why are we paying more in our wants than we are our savings? Think of this as, this is a guide. This is a starting point for you. But we always want to keep that savings at 20%. I talk about myself often. I have 2 3-year-olds at my house, so I have a lot of daycare expenses, diapers, all the things.
That's right.
So my needs are higher than where Susan's needs are.
That's right.
And so my 50-30-20 a lot of times looks like 70-10-20, trying to always make that 20% to pay off my debt and to put money into a savings account.
That's right.
I may not always get to use my money for the once, but I do like to talk about, you don't have to do that every single month. So me and my husband may not do anything fun or, our wants for a couple of months, but we've saved all that money to now we can go and travel, or now we can go and have a couple extra date nights one month because we're going to use our 10% and we're going to build it up together into 1 month of a lot of fun. So you can look at it in different ways. It is so flexible. It does not have to be cut and dry every month, 50-30-20. You can make it really fit your lifestyle that you currently have.
And with that 20% of savings, I like to point out to people that if you are employed and you have an employer sponsored retirement plan, that's part of that 20%. So if you're putting 10% in there, you're already really doing a great job towards achieving that 20%.
And remembering that, I think that's a really
Mhm.
important piece, because sometimes we save it and forget it, which is the beauty of a 401k. Plus you're maximizing your dollars from the employee contribution, but on the employer contribution. The other part is when we talked about going back and looking at your 3 months, apply these variables and see
How
where
it
your
shakes out.
spend is shaking out in the 50-30-20. So very quickly, y'all, you can go back and this weekend see how on track you are and how does your 50-30-20 look like,
Mhm.
And where adjustments you need to make.
if any.
Yeah. Paying down our debt, there's a lot of different options. I want to pause on that snowball avalanche because we have a really good slide coming up that's going to give you a broad picture of it. But there's other ways that we can pay down our debt. Things like a debt consolidation loan. You could refinance your house or your vehicle if you have any collateral in there. And you can also do like a home equity line of credit
That's right.
that can help pay off some of that high interest debt and maybe get you a lower interest rate.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I was talking about some of the options. You know, the credit union really does understand this, right? And we are really here for our members, for consumers and families that are hardworking, because we know debt happens, we know life happens. But what we don't want you to do is always feeling like you have to put it on a high interest credit card. Perhaps a personal loan makes a lot more sense, and it's termed out so you know you can pay it in a year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever works for you.
Right.
And I think that's really important to know you have those options. If you're a homeowner, we are in an amazing period of time where so many of our homes have a lot of appreciation. So I am mindful of using our HELOCs. It's a home equity line of credit where you don't want to take your debt and pay a lot of it on that HELOC. It's a much better use to use it for something that improves your home. However, that being said, that's another avenue that you have. And you know, it's just knowing that the credit union's here. You don't always have to know the answer. You can just come in and talk to us and we can help you build solutions that make sense for you.
Debt snowball.
Oh, look at that.
I love a debt snowball. And
I do too.
I love to create
I
them.
do too.
It's such a great way to see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
So many times, you know, you get into this cycle of debt where you just,
It's overwhelming.
overwhelming,
Yeah.
and there's no end in sight in your mind, you know, and you're like, you know, squirrel it away. I'm not going to look at it, bury my head in the sand, can't do it. But when you really look at it and you create this debt snowball, there's an end. It shows you, it gives you, you know, in 2 years, you could pay this off if you follow the plan.
That's right.
And so it's really taking all of your debt. So if you take all of your credit cards and you list them out and you know how much you owe on all of them and their interest rates, and we are going to take the highest one. So if you take either the one that's got the most that you owe on it or the one that has the highest interest, and you start there. And the best part is you're figuring out your spending plans now. So now you can figure out how much extra a month do I have to put towards my debt. It could be $10. I have created a debt snowball with only $10 extra for one of my members.
Yeah.
And he was able to pay it off in 3 years.
Oh my God.
So that was with $10. So think what you could do with even more. And so it's making sure that you're paying your minimum balances or your minimum payments on all of those. But taking that $10 extra or however much more you can pay and putting it towards the first one that you're trying to pay off. And so you, with the snowball, you're actually going to start the backwards. You're going to start with your lowest because we want that
Quick wins.
quick win, that
You want the
dopamine hit.
Yes.
Yep. So for a snowball, you actually will start with your lowest value that you owe. But you're going to take that $10 and you're going to put it towards the minimum balance. And as you pay that off, and you're still paying your minimum on all the rest, just a little bit more on this one. Once you pay it off, you're going to take that minimum balance plus the $10, and now you're going to add it to your next card. And that it's snowball effect. So then you're going to pay off the next one, have a little victory. Don't go crazy and spend a bunch of money, but then you're going to take that payment and you're going to continue to put it down to the next credit card that you, or the loan that you have to pay off. And really, when you map this all out, it's crazy to see how quickly you can get to that finish line. And a lot of times just knowing how fast you can get to the finish line is that's already the first win. We're already excited and ready to go and all jazzed up about it. And now we're ready to start. On the flip side, you can have that avalanche and you can start with the one that you owe the most on or has the highest interest. A lot of times that will be the quicker, but sometimes it's harder because it's going to take you a while to get to that first win. And, you know, talking about these dopamine hits, that's where we fall off a lot of times.
That's exactly right.
Right? If we're not getting to that win quick enough, a lot of times we're like, okay, I'm done with this. So if you do the snowball and you pay off that credit card that's got $150 on it, you know, we pay that off quickly. Now we're like, okay, I got some momentum. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And you get going. And it's just a snowball, and it's a best way to pay off debt. However, you cannot use these cards while you are doing the snowball. A lot of times I will see we get some good momentum and going, life happens, and we have to use the card, and now we're back in the cycle.
So can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
Do you think it's better to start a snowball or start an emergency account of at least $500.
Can you do,
Before
can you
you
do
start
both at the
it.
same time?
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely several options here. Can you do both at the same time? So can you really look at your expenses and figure out how much can I put towards my emergency savings
That's right.
and how much can I put towards my debt snowball?
Mhm.
Like I said, it doesn't have to be a huge amount to get that
Mhm.
started.
Mhm.
But then it's also, is it better for me if I take all the extra and put it into to get you to that $500
That's right.
so that it's sitting there nicely, and then you can really attack the snowball head on? I think that's going to be a preference of the consumer. It's
Yeah,
going to be a
Knowing yourself and
Yeah.
what works for you.
what works for you. Is doing two things at once going to be too overwhelming that you're going to stop? Then don't do that.
Correct.
Focus on one. I know for myself, I would need to focus on one.
Mhm.
Having both of those, if one
Yeah.
falls off, I can see myself spiraling out.
See, I
Yeah.
love that. That's that self-awareness and
Yeah.
understanding it. What I love about the debt snowball or the avalanche either is it's proving that you can do hard things.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so when you can tell yourself that you can do hard things and you have proven, the feeling of that will help ensure you don't get back into the same spot again. And I really do believe that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just think this way, I mean, debt consolidations, there's a place for all of it. We can walk through it. But my goodness, if you can do this on your own with the monies that you coming in, you're balancing your inputs, your outputs, and you're paying off debt, you will feel so empowered and so free when this is done.
And I like your point of you're putting all of this hard work, energy,
So much.
and money into this debt snowball. It'll definitely make you think, I don't want to do this again.
Correct.
How can I not get back into the same situation to have to do it again?
That's right.
So it's definitely helpful in that way.
Mhm.
All right, how can we just like start a savings account? Because I know a lot of us maybe haven't even started one.
Yeah.
And sometimes that in itself can be very intimidating.
That's right.
How do I get there? We talked about making that date with your money. So reviewing your goals. It's not just your spending plan that we need to review, but your goals as well.
Mhm.
Where can you make those adjustments in your goals so that you can put a little bit more in a savings to get that started? Great one. Your goal could be your savings
Right,
account.
I'm gonna start a savings
I'm
account.
gonna
I'm gonna
start
put the first $10 into it. Yeah.
There you go.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be a mountain of money. It's just some dollars to build a habit.
Yes. And automating it to your savings,
Paying yourself first.
Pay yourself
with the
first.
automation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we talked about, it doesn't have to be a huge lump of money. So every little bit does truly count, because now we can make money on our money with that compounded interest.
You make money on your money, which is awesome. But I will say, I'm gonna bet somebody a nickel. Whoever's out there, you want to bet me a nickel? That if you download your expenses over the last 3 months, I'm gonna bet you a nickel that you're gonna find money that you can save moving forward that will help this even easier. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Guaranteed.
Because the thing about plastic, it's convenient and you forget what you spend your money on.
Right.
Yeah.
It
So if
doesn't,
you,
it doesn't feel like real money.
it does not feel like real
Right.
money, and that's an intentional thing, guys. That's
Yes.
real.
Yeah.
And so if you start applying more intentionality and self-awareness with your spend that you'll do by looking at your spend of the past, moving forward, you're gonna find some dollars to put in there. I bet you a nickel.
I'll bet you that nickel. I'll lose it. That's okay.
No, you won't lose it. Well, that's true. Don't bet against this.
Yeah, no.
I want my nickel.
I'll get you that nickel. But there's lots of different, it doesn't just have to be an emergency savings. We've talked before about using, like at the credit union, you can have as many savings accounts as you want on your
Yeah.
account. So using it kind of like that envelope system where
Love
you
it.
have
Mhm.
your vacation and you have your Christmas and you have your emergency and you have your car
You
and
can label them.
yeah.
Which I love that.
I do too.
I love the labeling because for me psychologically, and I think this works for a lot of people, when you label it, you've assigned a purpose to those dollars.
Yes.
And then you give yourself permission to spend the money for that purpose.
That's right.
Me personally, when I have a savings account, if it's a general fund, I'm like, ooh, I don't want to dip into that.
I want to keep that
Right.
But if
high.
if I've done a savings account for car maintenance and I need to put new tires and I'm like, okay, I have $1,000 in there, which is a great feeling. And I spend $750 on tires. It's like, I had permission to do that.
Yes.
That's what it
You
was
don't
there
have to feel
for.
guilty about it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
And it's same with like the Christmas fund. You know, we goofed about this, you know, we have that Christmas club here. And you know, you were so excited in October, like I got my Christmas club and I was like, do you know how much was in my Christmas club? $30.
And that's that we're in a different life stage.
Yes. And you know, for me, I was putting money every paycheck into my Christmas club. But my down payment for my home became more important and more of a priority. And so I opened up my monthly add-on CD.
Mhm.
And so I put my monthly $25
Mhm.
into that CD, and watching that grow is so rewarding.
It is so
It is so rewarding,
Yeah.
but like we all have different needs.
Well, and I think the important thing about money, and Jade, you probably see this from the financial planning side too, is unfortunately, it's not like a trip where you arrive. I feel like this is truly a journey, and we're in
Mhm.
different life stages and different, you know, I'm an empty nester. My baby
Mhm.
just got married. And so that was a year of budgeting for weddings and doing all of that. And it's just different how it was. But I do find a wise woman told me in church when my kids were little that you're never going to feel like you have money until all of your children are out of the home. And she was absolutely right. And that actually gave me something to hang on to when I was raising a family and being a single mom at times. And that was something I just held on to. And she was right. So just remember, when you're in this space where you feel like you're really living paycheck to paycheck and you've got childcare and you've got all these different things, this is a finite amount of time. And that time goes by very fast.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's hard when you're in the trenches.
Oh,
Yeah, my kids are now teenagers, so your kids are littler. I remember those years. I mean, I've spent massive amounts on daycare and you think,
Yes. Oh my goodness.
oh my
It's
gosh.
like a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's over $1,000 a month. That's what I spent. Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Just think I can take all that daycare money and put it into a savings account here in a
I'm
few
like, girl,
years.
you're gonna get a bigger house before you know it.
Just get out of daycare, it'll be great. It'll be
Yeah.
golden.
But you know what? This is a precious time of
It
your
is.
time
It
of your
is. It
lives.
is.
You have beautiful babies right
Yes.
now.
Mhm.
You know, I miss that time. It's all relative, isn't it?
Yes.
So true.
All right. This is kind of the big one of getting prepared for that next step of the new year, and that's our taxes. The hard one sometimes. It can be difficult.
It kind of sneaks up on you.
Yeah. Gathering and organizing your documents is really like that first step. So kind of throughout the year, you know, like for my husband, he's a union worker. And so if we're buying tools and shoes and all the things that he needs to do his job, you know, it's keeping those receipts and making sure they're all together so that at the end of the year, we have that to give, you know, back. And so it's getting all the different documents you need and not just doing it once, but throughout the year, kind of staying on top of what you're gonna need, what receipts you're gonna need
That's a good point.
to present at tax time.
And as we cross into the new year, it's a good time to kind of reevaluate retirement contributions, whether that's, you know, how much are you contributing to a 401k? A lot of people do or have IRAs as well. So, you know, in my prior role, I'd have people that were making ongoing contributions every year. That amount that you can contribute can change. So maybe there's some adjustments to be made as far as, you know, how much you're contributing. You know, considerations for, did I put the most in for last year that I could? Because you, in the first quarter until we hit tax filing day, which is generally April 15th. You could do a carryback contribution where it's like, hey, I can still contribute for last year if I didn't max that out and I want to try to do that. You know, so lots of considerations there as far as, am I putting in what I can? Can I still find some dollars to put in for last year? You know, so those are important to consider
Yeah.
and look at.
And also look at your life changes. So did you get married? Did you get divorced? Did you have a kid? Maybe you started a business or a side hustle. Maybe you got a new job or you added a part-time job.
Or maybe your child has now left the nest and has their own tax status and you can't claim
And you
that
can't
anymore.
claim
That's a
them
good
anymore.
point.
These are all that,
Yeah.
yes, I know what that's like.
Yeah. See, not in that stage.
No,
I wouldn't
you're
have
not,
even thought
can't
of
even
that.
imagine that,
I
can you?
can't imagine actually getting to that
I
stage.
know, there were times that I also,
Yeah.
but it does come before you know it.
Yeah. And the last thing to really think about is to consult the tax professional. So we are not tax professionals, but we want to give you those tips and those things to think about to get you prepared for tax time. But if you have those really in-depth questions, it's making sure you're finding a tax professional, a consultant, somebody you can work with that is knowledgeable in all things taxes.
I know my tax pro is worth her weight in gold. I love her. So she's completely worth it. She finds things that I think it's not that expensive, honestly. So
Well, and really what you want is a tax strategist, and we
Yeah.
have that too. That's really helping us to know that if you're a union worker, you can write off some of those
Yeah.
items that you
Mhm.
need to do your job.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned that today. So really taking advantage of all the opportunities that are there so that you're maximizing your savings.
Yes. And that, my friends, is the end of our
that was fun.
presentation tonight. Does anybody have any questions? Open up your mic if you do, throw it in the chat. James can answer for you as well if you have any questions for us. Well, all right. Well, you can always reach us at partnership@uoficreditunion.org. And we do have.
That is a great presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
For being a part of this.
We are so excited that you guys all joined us tonight. Thank you and have a great night.
Bye.
bye.
Bye.